Hi, this is Coach Stacie with Athletes Mindset Academy. And this month we are talking about feelings and specifically about how the feelings are the fuel to the actions that you take. And one of my stories about feelings is the feeling of anxiety and specifically travel anxiety. Um, for a previous job, I used to travel a ton all over the world. And I used to book travel for executives who traveled all over the world. And so I was really comfortable with all of the aspects of flying. And yet I would always find myself really anxious the night before I flew. And this has been true my whole life. And the thing is, I usually wasn't even aware of it, right? Like I couldn't sleep the night before, and I would always get really obsessive about packing. But I didn't feel anxious. Like I didn't know that I was anxious because I resisted that anxiety. I was like, no, no, there's no reason to be anxious. And so anytime I would start feeling anxious, like I would, get an Uber ride to the airport. And on that Uber ride, I would be really nervous that we were going to be late. And all the time I would just always tell myself, like, you don't need to be anxious. If you're gonna miss this flight, you know how to book another one. Like, you know how to get on the next one. Like, you're literally an expert at travel and all of the aspects of it. You know exactly what to do in every situation. You've been in most every situation. You've already handled these things. You know how to do it. And I would always just try to talk myself down. And one day I was in Amsterdam, and instead of and I got coached that day, and my coach actually suggested, instead of trying to talk yourself out of the anxiety, what if you just let it be okay that you feel anxious? Like, what if you stop resisting the emotion of anxiety and you just allow the anxiety to be there and not make it a problem? And so what if you just thought, I am somebody who experiences travel anxiety, and that's okay. Now, I was in Amsterdam and I was flying, I think, to France. And so I left the house the little Airbnb that I was at, and I went to the train station, which I had done a couple of times already that week. But one of the things is, like, nothing's in English. A lot of countries will have things in English too, but the Amsterdam train station, there was nothing in English. And so it turns out that the train was canceled to the airport, but I couldn't read that. I couldn't hear that. So I didn't know what was happening. All I knew is that my train that I was supposed to get on wasn't there. And so I started to panic. I didn't know how I was going to get to the airport, and I didn't really even know what to do. And I somehow asked somebody who looked kind of official, and it turns out that her job was to help elderly people make their travel connections. And so she was like, I actually don't have a client right now, so I'll help you. She spoke English. She was from the United States, and she literally, like, we ran from train, and then we had to catch another train and go a different way and then a different way. At one point, she's using her clearance to get me through things. Probably of most of my trips to the airport, it was the most stressful one I'd ever had. And I just kept thinking to myself the whole time, I'm a person who experiences travel anxiety, and that's okay. And I noticed that though I didn't feel great, I felt so much less anxious than when I was always trying to push it away. And so that one was a huge one for me, to begin to allow emotions and to experience, like, what I do out of the different emotions. I find that when I resist the emotion of anxiety, the things that I do are, spinning my thoughts of all the things that are going to go wrong and all the bad things that can happen. And my heart's beating really fast. And maybe I always, like, get coffee to try to help calm my nerves, because coffee helps calm you, right? And I would do all these specific things. But when I allowed the emotion of anxiety, I could just move on into a different emotion and move into the, like, figuring things out, getting things done, asking for help, and not, like, being so caught up in the emotion of it. So anyways, that's my story with emotions. Learning to process emotions has been, like, the key for life for me. It's definitely been the hugest thing that has changed my life out of all of the work that we do. So really encourage you guys to do that this month. Have a great week.